Welcome to the Yo-11 podcast. Yo-11 podcast, mostly Vegas no BS casino experience and more. Michael Traeger is a casino and travel loyalty expert who also helps turn your travel dreams into travel realities. And now your host, Michael Traeger. How's it going, Michael?
It's going great. How you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. We have a very sort of Valentine's-y, romantic-y episode today, which I don't
Yeah,
think
and
we've
it's
done one
it's
of
all
these.
you because you're just such a romantic. So
If you say so, I don't know, man. We'll see about that. So yeah, and last episode, yesterday's episode, so many responses about that tweet. So still just like packing him in all the responses about how Vegas ain't a value anymore. Um, Hopefully we turn it around, man. Hopefully Vegas turns it around. I'm not sure what they're gonna do, but yeah, just still kind of thinking about that. But yeah.
well, the other thing we didn't, the other thing that's hard to mention, well, gambling is down. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see how all the occupancy is. I mean, obviously the conventions and things are doing really, really well, but we'll have to see how the revenue side lines up. I mean, Vegas is such an interesting city because they've got so much room inventory. These hotels are larger than any hotels in the world. And even the small ones are larger than most hotels in the world. So it is interesting. You do have a lot of rooms to fill. And if you don't fill them, I mean, that's a major problem. I mean, when you have a hotel that's 3 or 4 thousand rooms, being at 60% occupancy instead of 85% occupancy is a lot of rooms. So it should be very interesting.
Indeed. And we also have a news story for today. A R&B group known for playing a lot at the Mirage before it closed is making a reappearance at Cosmo. Let's get on to the news and views. Legendary R&B group Boyz II Men are returning to the Las Vegas Strip this summer. The group will headline a 4-night limited engagement at the Chelsea at the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas in August, Live Nation announced on Monday. Tickets go on sale Friday, February 14th at Ticketmaster.com, and shows are scheduled for August 8th, 9th, 15th, and 16th, 2025. And that's going to do it for the news, and now for the views. Michael, what are your thoughts?
I have like no thoughts. That's what are your thoughts, Movestro?
I think it's good that performers who were once at the Mirage are finding other places to perform.
Okay, I was thinking that too. Yeah, that's about Boys to Men. I don't really have much an opinion about Boys to Men.
Boys to Men, man. Motown
You know who
Philly
needs
back again. But
you
Boys to Men, man.
You're good. Yeah, no,
Boys
I
to Men.
know, I know. It just was never really my jam. You know what? Who I want to have I want to have like a new limited engagement kind of reunion tour. Spice Girls. I was thinking of that the other day.
Yo, tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
Don't you miss the Spice Girls?
I have not thought about the Spice Girls in a couple of decades, if I'm being completely honest.
I don't know. Yeah, Vegas is great for all kinds of limited engagements and residences. That's the other word, residencies, right? I mean, residencies are so popular. And then you also have the Sphere too, right? So there's a lot going on there. I need to get to the Sphere. I need to do that. Remind me to do that my next trip.
I need
But
to
I
do that
probably
too.
will.
I always see the Sphere, but I haven't gone to the Sphere. It's there. I see it. I admire it on the outside and all the wonderful things it can do. I haven't gone into the Sphere yet. One day
It is a little
into the Sphere.
pricey to go into, even like for the least pricey thing to go to the Sphere for.
Yeah. Well, they have all various shows and concerts and matinees and stuff, but it's got to figure something out. But yeah,
Well, that's the other thing too when you talk about value and that kind of thing. Like all concerts are so expensive today. Like everything's like so expensive relative. So I mean, I guess this shouldn't surprise me. So it's sort of interesting. Well, it's good. Thank you for the update on Boys to Men at Cosmopolitan.
all right. That being said, let's get on to the tea.
Okay, well, we're talking about. I defer. I defer mostly to Movestro on this, and I'm going to put a big asterisk. Can we put like a big asterisk up on the screen that there are so many different places that can be considered romantic venues to dine in Las Vegas that it is impossible to list all of them, and sometimes it's fun to just throw out a couple of options. And Movestro published a article last week, the most romantic restaurants in Las Vegas for Valentine's Day, and he hit on a couple of them, which I think are pretty cool. And that was, talking about the Eiffel Tower, SW Steakhouse, Top of the World at the Strat, which I hear the menu has really been much improved. Joel Robuchon and Giada at Cromwell, Sinatra at Encore Las Vegas. But there are still many, many more romantic restaurants. I think there are probably a combination of things. I mean, one of the things I'm going to say that Movestro, maybe he has strong MGM bias. There's also a lot of really good places at MGM because of the fountain views. So that's something to really think about. I mean, because you always get into this, like, what makes a romantic place, right? Is it the view? Is it the interior ambiance? So at Wynn, like at SW, you've got the Lake of Dreams. At Bellagio, you have the fountains. So at Lago and Mayfair Supper Club and Spago, you have, the beautiful fountain views. So is it all about the fountain view? Eiffel Tower, it's that incredible view of everything in Las Vegas. That's so what makes a restaurant, most romantic? Is it the service? It's just, and there are some places downtown also that are really quite romantic too. Some could say Oscars is really romantic with the view that it has of Fremont Street. So, what do you think, Movestro, if you had to choose as far as the metric for makes something really romantic? And does also making it fancier also make it romantic?
I think it would be a combination of those things. If you can get them all in one spot, probably great. But I think it's gonna be the view, something elevated usually. Internal ambiance has to have a certain kind of lighting to it. There's also what kind of music is being played while you're eating, and is it too loud? Is it just right for conversation? And what is the mood of that music? It's going to be the service. And of course, for a lot of people, bitches like money, right? So, you want to make sure it's a pricey menu so you can really impress them. They like when you spend a lot of money on them. It's true. They like when you spend a lot of money on them. Not all of them necessarily. I'm
Do
not
you
putting
have
anyone.
that cat?
I don't. But a lot of women are impressed when you can spend a lot of money on a meal on Valentine's Day, of because it's on the calendar and you're supposed to, celebrate your love. Although some people would wait for anniversaries for such things, but Valentine's Day is what it is, and but there's also Mistress Day, which is the day before Valentine's Day because you can't do it on Valentine's Day, and some days after. There was a
I'm
whole
not aware of all the stuff you're talking. You're like all over the place.
yes.
You've got like a lot of you got a lot of dates on the. So what kind of venue do you choose for Mistress Day? Is that going to be your article next week?
Maybe I am a wealth of unwealthy knowledge. But yeah, I saw this thing on the news about how guys will have their mistresses go out with them the day before or the day after Valentine's Day. So yeah, that's apparently a thing for those who have mistresses. I
What do you think? The steakhouse at Circus Circus, some might say, is also romantic in a old school kind of way.
But look what you have to go through to get there. I mean, that'll kill the mood. Soon as you leave the
Doesn't
steakhouse. Soon as you leave
doesn't
the
Four
steakhouse.
Queens also have a very romantic place?
They have. Do they have Hugo Cellar?
Hugo Cellar. Yes, it hit us both. Hugo Cellar is extremely romantic and old school, and they've got this great salad bar. There is so much great stuff in Las Vegas. I mean, and honestly, so many of the restaurants have like Andiamo at the D, like they've got like really good ambiance. I mean, I do think views make a difference, and obviously, since I'm ridiculously biased towards certain things, with design, like Wynn Las Vegas, like Sinatra has that like extremely elegant kind of look that's hard to like that Roger Thomas kind of design, which is amazing. And I think a lot of the spaces at Wynn are like that. And I think that is naturally very romantic. I mean, I think there's something about Sinatra Las Vegas that is just so plush. Whereas I don't feel that like it almost seems like super formal to me at SW Steakhouse, like so crisp, white linen, formal. So I guess that's part of it, like what you consider what you like or what you don't like as far as like style. Because sometimes, the other thing is too, you need to feel comfortable in a restaurant that you're in. And certain restaurants people don't feel that comfortable in because they feel they're too stuffy, which I could definitely understand, but I think that's also sort of another factor that you want to take into mind. And a lot of that factor can have to do with you or what you're used to and that kind of thing. What would you say, Movestro, has been one of your favorite romantic places to go in Vegas, or do you not have one?
I don't really have one.
Nori Bar at Resorts World.
It's I wouldn't say that's romantic really. It's in a glorified food court. But I mean, I as far as it used to be Gallagher's Steakhouse at the New York,
Okay,
because
okay.
it's got a nice ambiance. The ambiance is very nice. It's also very New Yorkish, which that's where I'm from. It's candlelit. It's electric. It's battery candles, but still, it has that feel to it. I don't really. I don't know, man. I had like research for this article because I don't really. There are people who consider of all things, and I'll never understand this. And some people love this, and good on them. Just not my cup of tea. But freaking the gondola ride at Venetian, and it's like, look, you're not really in Venice. You're on this boat that's costing you $85 for one, a couple on a gondola, $85 for some dude to paddle you through a shopping mall. It's just not romantic. But there are
With
some
vehicular traffic outside and cars honking their horns.
right, and there's also the inside one as well, and that just goes through the shopping mall. So you have people like tourists walking around and shopping, and looking at you and taking pictures and you're just sitting there on. It's just to me, it's just so. I'm sorry.
Well, it is so. I am curious what other people think, like what makes something romantic to them. Because what makes things romantic to people sometimes is formal, sometimes is something that's sexy, sometimes noise, shows like Delilah or Mayfair Supper Club, or and I shouldn't put words in his mouth, but I was joking with you earlier that if I asked Meltz, our very good friend, Mark Meltzer, Meltz Vegas on Twitter, I asked him what he thought his most romantic place was to go for Valentine's Day, that I was going to guess that his answer would be any sports book or video poker bar. So maybe that's just it. I think this is what's interesting. Hey, but you know what? A video poker, if the two, I mean, I could see a couple that was really into playing video poker that, wanting to go to a video poker bar and have dinner at a video poker bar if you can do that. And
Right.
actually, that's interesting. What would be the most romantic video poker bar? Well, that's easy, like Cosmopolitan, right?
Yeah, the chandelier bar. Yeah, more than likely.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
think about it. Like Chandelier Bar, if it was Valentine's Day, that could be pretty posh, and you're playing video poker. So it's sort of interesting what different people find romantic. And then the other thing I want to bring up before we finish is how about having a romantic dinner in your room or suite? Like we've done lunch before, right? Think how nice it would be with a nice view from one of the strip properties like Venetian or from Wynn, somewhere that does, or even better, Cosmopolitan on the balcony, and getting in room dining and basically just soaking in your private view and having it, or, Nobu also, in Nobu, and having a beautiful private romantic dinner.
And you know what? What's cool about that is you have control over the environment. So you could play whatever music you want. If you're there with a significant other, songs that might mean a lot. Maybe you two share a playlist of things, and you could bring in some rose petals, and trail it over to the bed. I mean, it's yeah, you have full control of the environment as well. So I mean, there's that. That's that also.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the in-room dining, and yeah, it's a splurge, but think about it. It's a splurge if you go to a restaurant. Another thing, pro tip, if you do in-room dining, you can go and bring into the room your own champagne or wine and
Ah.
ask for glassware. Think how much, I remember, like, I sometimes bring my Angel's Envy. That saves you a lot of money. On average, a bottle of wine at SW Steakhouse is going to run you can barely get a bottle of wine for $250 on their menu.
That's a lot of
So
money
even
for
the,
wine.
so even the in-room dining, even though the charges are higher for the dining, if you don't have to pay for alcohol and you bring, champagne into your room or buy it at, Total Wines on the way from the airport or something like that, you can have, champagne for half the price. So that's another thing to consider. But I think if you've seen any of our in-room dining videos, especially the most recent Nobu one, uh those are great ideas, and that could be super duper romantic way to have Valentine's Day together, and you're also close to the bedroom too. So
There you go.
dum-dum. There you go.
There you go.
And also, like, if you have a great tub, you could do a great, bubble bath or jacuzzi. And if you happen to be in one of the amazing hotels that has great tubs and has smoking rooms, you could also have a cigar after dinner.
You know, there are some rooms in Treasure Island that have a hot tub in the room, in the suite itself. I forget what the name of those suites are, but I think they were just called, were they called the hot tub suites at one point? But I remember there are
The
some,
Lynx used to have those too, I thought.
I don't remember, but I know Treasure Island definitely did. And that's one hell of a view from Treasure Island because you got that curvy, that curve of the strip view and everything that we talked about last week. But we do have some footage from Eiffel Tower restaurant actually comes up a lot when it comes to looking for romantic
And I think it's
restaurants.
over. I think it's honestly, I think it's underrated. I think it's pretty good. It's old school, but the service is good. The views are great. It's just a very traditional menu. And but honestly, in comparison to some of the other places like SW Steakhouse, it's a great value, and it is a really nice atmosphere, in my opinion. So I think it should be considered, even though you might think it's so kitschy being on top of the Eiffel Tower.
Right, and we have footage of the caviar plating that was done because you, I, and a couple of other people, we went to Eiffel Tower restaurant right after ZorkFest ended, and we got everything packed away and put in storage. But
That
here,
was with John of wheelchairtravel.org.
yep, and someone I forget his name now.
Oh, Jamie. Yes, Jamie of he is, I think his, I don't know what his Jamie is the Forward Cabin, at the Forward Cabin, but it's Jamie. He also works on FTU stuff, but he's at the Forward Cabin on Twitter. But he was with us too.
All right, so here's some footage of that. This is from Eiffel Tower restaurant. There was three different kind of caviars. I know one of them was a Siberian. There were two others. I forget their names right now, but it was sort of like a flight of caviar, if you will, that came with bellinis and accoutrement, and very good. And I believe those were like gold-plated spoons or something. But fantastic. You don't really see much of the ambiance here, but look at that caviar. I mean, that's romantic enough. it's, it's
No,
just
it
fantastic.
was really nice. And I remember our server that night. She was awesome.
Yeah.
She was awesome. It was a really good experience. We were seated a little bit elevated, so we weren't right next to one of the windows, but it was still really, it was really really nice. So this is the thing, and I honestly, I think I told you last time, I want to get to the top of the Strat also, and I'd like to get back to Hugo's Cellar. I mean, so I really do. I did try the steakhouse at Circus Circus 2 years ago, and it was pretty good when we were doing a dice crawl. So that was cool. And yeah, and you've got lots of, you'll put you'll put a link to your article. And as always, we do want to hear about the other restaurants that people like or what they think is romantic. But I think breaking the notion of what has to be a romantic restaurant is great, and also respecting the fact that people do it different ways. But I am very much in favor of in-room dining, and especially, hey, on top of it, you could do in-room dining at Cosmopolitan, at Bellagio, at Caesar's Augustus Tower, with great views of the fountain. And actually, some of the rooms at Paris now in the Versailles Tower have great views of the fountain. So if you really wanted a fountain view, but as I've mentioned before, I'm a little bit sweet on that sphere view. So that's where I am.
And right here, so what I've got up here in the video version of the podcast is a picture taken from the Eiffel Tower restaurant at Paris, Las Vegas, and there's one of the proposal tables. The Eiffel Tower restaurant actually has a proposal package. Unfortunately, none of their links for info were working on their own website. And I had to like dig into the code of the website itself to find what was supposed to be there. But you get a half a dozen long stem roses, a bottle of champagne. You get a champagne toast at the beginning. You get those roses, and they have like other things as well as part of their proposal package. I couldn't see the prices of the proposal package because once again, their website, someone needs to fix that. They should hire me. But yeah, as you can see from this view here, it's quite a spectacular view. That's a really great place to pop the question. Over here we have Giada's at the Cromwell. This is over by their wine selection, and this is what the interior looks like. Daytime, of course, but at nighttime, I'm sure it looks even better. This is, I believe, Joe Robuchon, Robuchon,
You got it.
Robocop, Robuchon.
Joel Robo.
Joe
Yeah.
Robocop right there. Look at that. That's a lovely interior with all the purples and the shades right there as well. Sinatra, of course, at Encore. So this is the interior of that. It's very nice, very classy. I love that carpet. Look at that carpet. That carpet is awesome. Wow.
Wynn does the best carpet.
Indeed. Over here, of course, SW Steakhouse with a view, of course, by the lake. Very lovely indeed. And over here is at the top of the stratosphere, that restaurant, and I'm forgetting the name of it for some reason right now. Top of the world restaurant at the stratosphere. Lovely views over there. Tables right along the windows. So yeah, a bunch of images of romantic spots in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, this is fun. And like I said, breaking stereotypes is wonderful. Would love to hear from you, even more so than your favorite romantic place in Vegas. What is your favorite romantic special time to dine, like place, situation with a significant other? That's what I want to know. What did people find to be really special, and what do they really enjoy? Because that's what it's most important, is what makes you happy.
Even if it's Johnny Rockets at Excalibur.
Mm, hot dogs. I could go for hot dogs.
Casino Royale hot dogs.
I'll make exceptions for hot dogs. Only for hot dogs. Anyway, that's and hot dogs go well with champagne. So
That's true. That's true.
yeah. So anyway, no, that's great. We want to hear from you. And thank you for putting all that together and putting that article out, because it's a great topic, and we're leading into Valentine's Day, and it's great to be positive. And it's also great to think about how many options there are in Vegas at all types of budgets and all types of ambiance. So that's really really cool.
Yep. I just had a crazy idea. This might seem up your alley, but a hot dog with caviar on it. Have you tried caviar on a hot dog?
It has been done. I've done caviar, I think, with like little quail eggs. There used to be a place in London, which is no longer in operation, called Bubble Dog, where they only serve small growth champagnes and different kind of hot dogs. And they did a lot of cool, funky hot dogs. But I think caviar in a hot dog would be good. There's a lot of this viral stuff going around where people put like caviar on like In-N-Out burgers and things like that. And they do a lot of, I don't know, caviar is starting to jump the shark, but I was OG with the caviar thing. But right now it's like, it's become so popular. It's crazy how popular caviar has become. So, which I'm happy to see. It's, I guess, quote, the normalization of caviar. But sometimes things get overdone, and maybe sometimes some things aren't meant to be put on other things. So that's something to think about too. But caviar and chicken tenders, absolutely phenomenal, and you can catch that video too.
I like to think that anytime someone puts caviar on something to try it out, that Robin Leach is smiling down upon them. That's just my thought. Before we get going, is there anything on your mind or anything you'd like to share?
No, that's it. But I love that. Let us know. I want to hear everyone else's thoughts. And I want to hear about whatever you decide to do for a very romantic Valentine's Day.
Alrighty, and that's going to do it for this episode. Luxury travel booking, travelzork.travel. Visit us at travelzork.travel to plan your next amazing vacation, not just to Las Vegas, but anywhere in the world. And you can find us on social media, so join the conversation. You can find us easily. All social platforms are at TravelZork. We'll see you next time.